The reason you're unproductive is because you're so creative. You have so many ideas, and you're just like here, then here, and you're constantly like, oh, that's awesome. I can do this, and it's like that's cool. Write it down, but if you don't have any focus, you'll never get any progress done. You'll constantly make a little progress and go over here and then over here. What you need to do, and this is something that's super important because I deal with it as a creative person, as a person that's always open to new ideas and has new ideas and sees other ideas and wants to try it out, all that stuff. What you have to remember is what chapter you're in and what you're called to do right now. And that takes being in tune with who you are. And so we're going to have these ideas, and there's nothing wrong with them. At times, you need to attack each idea when it comes up. But it's also important not to just be sporadic. You see what I mean? And so I think it's super important as creatives to have an actual freaking to-do list. I know this sounds simple, but without it, we're constantly forgetting what we're supposed to be doing because we're letting, our minds take us. But the problem is our minds are so freaking creative that it has a new idea all the time. And so we're like, oh, this AI has this, and this has this, and this guy on YouTube, on Instagram said this, and I can work on this project. Now it's like, you got to have a sense of focus in your life if you ever want to make progress. And there's nothing wrong with being inspired. And I think this is a topic that isn't talked about enough because a lot of people aren't inspired. But some of us are inspired. A lot of us are almost too inspired. I don't think that that's ever a thing. But we're so inspired that we're not productive because we're constantly bouncing. And I can find myself doing this, especially because I have multiple things I do and work on. I have different projects that are here, here, and here, and here. But sometimes it's time to put these to the side and just here. But if I'm trying to do all four at the same time, I'm thinking about all of them, I'm a literally like, I'm gonna die. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able, you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes I have to say, okay, I understand you have ideas here, let's write them down, but let's give this our time. And I think it's super important to really have yourself, especially when you're here is so much, you have to have something that keeps you in line and have like a to-do list of like, we're doing this and this. And I'm not saying not to go off in a tangent when it happens, but you can be so creative that you're unproductive. And you have to set parameters. Some people, they're so organized in their mind that they don't need that. We need that. We need to have something that keeps us in check, keeps us in line, so we have some sense of direction, or else we're just going to be going in this direction, and then we have to go in this direction, this direction, this direction. And sometimes in our life, in some chapters, that's good. But there's also some chapters and moments in our life where we have to be very focused. We have to be like, I'm doing this. And not saying not to be creative, but let's be creative right here. You know what I mean? Not putting yourself in a box, but just dedicating your time to something so it can actually flourish, so it can actually become the flower and not just be in the seed phase. You see what I mean? And I deal with this. I'm making this video because I'm dealing with it right now. I'm like seeing this and that, and I'm over here, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'll just be up for forever and never sleep when I got stuff to do tomorrow. And sometimes we have to get realistic with our short term and knowing, okay, we can't solve every problem today. I think as a creative person, we get so into like this problem. How can we solve this? Say, okay, can't save the world in a day. All right. So I think it's super important to say, okay, this is what we're doing now, and this is what we're doing. Or else you just feel like, man, I'm never going to, and this is what we get to, feel like I'm never going to figure it out. But it's like you're putting the pressure of your entire life in 1 hour. Like, let's just take one step. And I think when you start to simplify what you need to do, all of a sudden you will achieve and solve all those problems, but you will solve them one at a time. But you will not solve any of them if you try to solve all of them at the same time. So let's be a little bit more patient. Let's be a little bit more organized to balance our unorganization that comes with being creative and being inspired, and set parameters in our life. But not boxes. They're parameters or guidelines. It doesn't mean you can't color outside the box, but let's not just freaking color all the way. You know what I mean? Let's not just say bump it. Now we have no picture, and now it's just gibberish, okay? Nothing wrong with being outside the lines. Nothing wrong with being inspired and going on a tangent over there if it's the right moment. But if we ever want to make that true progress, we can't just be in the creative phase. We have to be in the focus phase too. And then when you hit the balance is being able to be in the focus phase while still maintaining your creativity without allowing you to be not focused. And that's a skill. But I think it's super important that we know our chapters. We know the moments we're in. And then when you're messing up, just make a video about it so we can help other people. Because I'm being just like what I'm telling y'all not to do. So like, comment, subscribe if you're related or whatever or not. I had to get this off my chest. Peace.